Hey everybody, it's Tim Broken Dice bringing you a continuation of my Iberian campaign. Before you get into this one, I would suggest seeing the previous video. Kind of goes through the methodology I'm going to use, the rule systems. It'd be easier to follow along on the battle reports so that you understand why I'm using cards and some things that I'm doing to help a solo player move through a game. All right, so in the first turn, I had mentioned in the last video, there is always a diplomacy roll. Diplomacy is very important in this game because, with tribal societies, there was a lot of rivalry, a lot of infighting, and as Rome proved in both Gaul, even in the Italian peninsula when they were taking over Italy, um, it's best to keep the people you want to conquer fighting each other, and then it's much easier to move in. Now they had a little tougher nut to crack here in Iberia because it took them a much longer time to conquer it than it did Gaul, but still, um, diplomacy plays a factor. So in this first turn, if you go back and look at the last video, it'll just show all the diplomacy rolls. So the Sestani, where the red arrow is, they rolled up a diplomacy rating of 1. So they were unable to convince any other tribes to lend aid. Again, I explained that in the last video, and it's all written out so you can pause it at any time, you know, mute my very monotone voice out of it and just give it a quick peruse, and it'll explain everything and why I'm doing it the way I am. Okay, so basically diplomacy is there to try to garner aid or to prevent someone from getting aid. So we'll move on from here. That just a short recap. All right. In the opening moves, the Iberians charge forward down off the hill. Um, this was the first use of cards in the game, so the original leadership roll was an 8. I wanted to change it, so I randomly picked a card off the deck, off the 2 cards that he had, and the Roman player threw down a card. So basically, what I do as a solo player, I just randomly pick a card out of the deck and play them and take the consequences. But in this instance, the Iberian side had the upper hand, were able to adjust their roll and create enough distance for them to move across the field and engage the Roman forces with their light troops. Okay, across the battlefield, the tribe was able to do a lot more damage than I thought they would. I was very lucky in a lot of the rolls, but there were only a couple of units, just one unit actually of the light cavalry on the right in the top right picture. They were the only ones that didn't do any damage to the Roman side. And that brings us to the end of Iberian turn 1. Moving on, Rome responds aggressively to this Iberian assault. The Roman general issues an order for the entire army to advance and move these light troops out of the way, and let's get into the meat of the enemy army. The light cavalry on both flanks evade this charge by the Romans. They don't wish to get run down because they're not stand and fight troops, and so they evade it out of the way. I will note that these little green squares that I put on here, I do that so sometimes, like when I'm doing one of these, I'll leave something on the table like cards or dice in the wrong place, and it just looks confusing on the video. Like, it's like, what does those cards mean? What does this mean? And really, they may not mean nothing to the combat. It was just a mistake on my part of leaving them there. So I like covering them up. The Roman hordes smash into the Iberian light infantry and cavalry. But strangely enough, I really thought when I rolled so high, so low for their order roll, that they would make contact with this light infantry, that they would just bust right on through. As you can see in this photograph, that's not what happened. This is why in like solo gaming, I like the what I referred to in the last video as that view from above, where you kind of take that hands-off look. You just roll the dice, you take the results, or whatever mechanism you would choose in your solo wargaming to help move the game along. I'm so surprised at this. I really thought, and actually, in return, the light infantry were able to do some additional damage to the Roman corps. I was very surprised by this. I really thought that boom, 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 it'd just be all over with. But when you got excuse me, small units on small units, the dice difference isn't that much. Oh, excuse me again. But I was just very surprised that the Romans didn't break through right away. Okay, on the Roman left, the cavalry destroyed the Iberian light cavalry. I mean, they were shaken. They rolled they took a bunch of damage. It was, the Roman cavalry with some supporting slingers just chewed them up. They were gone. And then on the Roman right, they broke through the infantry and the cavalry. So as you can see in this video, well, this slide right here, the infantry, there's no light infantry in front of them, of the cohorts, and there are no more light cavalry opposing them. So the Romans were very successful on their right, not so successful in the center and on their left. So we're going to have to kind of see how in turn 2 how this all plays out. And that brings us to the end of turn 1. And again, this is a much better picture. You can kind of see how the Roman infantry, the cohorts, are free to maneuver. They've wiped out the units that were in front of them. But now they're going to face the unengaged so far might of the Iberian army, the real battle line, as it were. But that brings us to the end of this video. It was very quick, very bloody in the beginning. Turn 2 is going to really ratchet things up. I may even have to break it down into small sections, because I know how a lot of people don't like really long videos when it comes to battle reports and stuff, because it kind of drones on with facts and this and that, and you just want to get to the action and see it done. But that ends this video. If you like this, leave a like down below. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Have a comment, please leave it down below. I would really appreciate it. Let me know how you do your solo games, whether you're even a fan of solo games or not. We can start that kind of a discussion. That's an interesting thing. I mean, there are points on either side to, pro and con. All right, so that ends this. I hope everybody stays safe, stay well, and I will see you next time.